Good day, future educators. Today we're exploring learner centered psychological principles. No? These are guidelines in which these are being designed to help us understand how students think, feel, and grow. So, as BS Ed majors in English, Filipino, Math, Science, and TLE, these principles will guide us in designing classrooms where every learner thrives. So let's go through four major categories. First, we have the cognitive and metacognitive. We have motivational and effective, then we have developmental and social and individual differences. So I'll be providing practical classroom examples not to help you apply these principles as future educators. For the cognitive and metacognitive factors, we have the first learning principle, in which it states here nature of the learning process. So indeed, learning is most effective when students are actively engaged in constructing meaning from the content, rather than they passively receiving information. So as I've emphasized in our class, instead of you students be just sitting down acting as spectators or passive learners, you should be actively engaged in the process. So this principle emphasizes that learning should explore, let our students explore, analyze, and make sense of the lessons, through active participation. So, as future educators, this means that we need to design activities that go beyond lectures. We encourage our students to investigate and create. So, for instance, in science, for example, rather than simply explaining photosynthesis, a teacher might guide students to conduct a simple experiment with plants, placed in light and dark conditions. So this process somehow let the students observe. They are able to record data and form conclusions about how light affects plant growth. It also allows them to internalize concepts because they personally experienced the discovery process, and their level of understanding is being reinforced because of that personal experience. Then principle number two, it states here goals of the learning process. So again, now learning is not an instant process. It is cumulative, and that somehow require support for students to create um, interconnected knowledge over time. So therefore, lessons should be sequenced in a way that it builds previous learning to form a more solid foundation for new skills. So teachers should be able to use assessments and feedback and somehow track track the progress of students in order to visualize growth. So example, in English, supposing in an English class, students can maintain a portfolio of their written works throughout the semester, starting with simple narrative, paragraphs, and then progressing to a more analytical essay. So, by reflecting on teacher feedback, they're able to revisit their drafts, na, and they're able to see and notice tangible improvement of the writing skill. Somehow, they're able to have that sense of ownership of their learning. In values education, for example, students can create digital portfolios to track how they progress or they improve with their moral reasoning over time, in a certain academic term. Third principle is construction of knowledge. So learners do not start from zero. They do not come to class with an empty mind. Of course, they come with prior knowledge, experiences. Somehow there are also misconceptions that they um, were being influenced now, how they were being taught in the past, or how they interpret new information. Therefore, as teachers, we should be able to first assess what students know and connect lessons to their background knowledge, to make content meaningful. So we should be able to assess the baseline, to what level of understanding our students are in, then from there we're able to connect our lesson. We do not assume that a certain subject matter was already being tackled. Since it's part of the lesson in grade 12, it's assumed that they fully grasp the lesson. So we always have that pre-assessment, as to what level of understanding they're currently in, so that we would know how to connect. For example, in mathematics, for example, a teacher introducing algebra might begin by linking it to arithmetic operations students already understand. So by showing how addition and subtraction patterns from a basic algebraic reasoning, students feel more confident as they transition to a more abstract concept. So this approach respects students' existing knowledge while also providing a bridge to a higher level of learning. Then we have here the fourth principle, strategic thinking. Students need to be explicitly taught. When we say explicitly, concretely, it should be properly spelled out, since you will soon be teaching minor students that they might be already in the pre formal operational thinking, but we cannot guarantee, especially for grade 7 8, no, they are still transitioning. So we need to be concrete, be very specific with our examples, and when we try to solve problems, we need to show them the step by step process, so that they will be able to understand, especially in dealing with complex problems. And in strategic thinking, it encourages learners to plan, monitor, and evaluate their approach, not to task, rather than jumping straight to answers. So we do not give our students the always the shortcut. No, that's why in math subject, teachers will have to show on the board the step by step solution on how a certain solution of a problem has been is being derived. So that is strategic thinking, because by there, students will be able to track, to plan and monitor, to evaluate whether they are able to follow through certain formula to come up with a specific answer. So example, in TLE subject, in TLE, for example, when planning a catering menu, students can use strategy charts, or Gantt diagrams to schedule preparation, cooking, and plating times. Teachers here can guide them in prioritizing tasks, because if there is no planning, there's a tendency that students, especially in TLE major, because they are so overwhelmed already with the things to prepare, especially the ingredients in cooking, and also the presentation, the table presentation, and all. If there is no prioritization of task, they will be overwhelmed, to the extent that they may end up not coming up with a better result, or they're not able to execute the task as expected. So it's very important for teachers to guide their students, prioritize tasks, identify challenges, and somehow adjust their plans as needed, because it does not mean that we already have the plan, we have already the plan, we will stick on our plans no matter what, because there are times that everything that we plan will not be really putting into 100% a reality, because of some circumstances beyond our control. So therefore we need to adjust what we initially planned to ensure that we are able to deliver the task. So This practice not only teaches students with organizational skills, but also prepares them for real world decision making. Because at the end, these lessons in promoting strategic thinking among our students will prepare them in a highly more practical and transferable knowledge as they transition from being a student to be soon working professional. Then we have the fifth principle, thinking about thinking, or what they termed as metacognition. So when we say metacognition, this refers to learners reflecting on their own thought processes. So it encourages students to analyze what strategies help them succeed, identify whether they struggled and adjust their approaches. So, in English class, for example, students might write reflective journals after delivering a speech, describing what they did well, what nervous habits they noticed, and what changes they would make in the future presentations. By examining their performance, they develop self awareness and the ability to take responsibility of their growth. So these reflective habits make them not only better learners but also more empathetic and insightful future teachers. So in here, I have here when we say thinking about thinking, it's just like after organizing an event, you do not just assume that everything, no matter how successful an event turned out. When we say metacognition, we always have to reflect what goes well, what part of the organization makes it easy, makes it exceptional or good or excellent, or what part of the organization makes it challenging for the organizers. What area of the preparation can still be improved, meaning we reflect for more no better performance, for a more refined presentation, because we are always looking for um, better version of what we have attained already, because in metacognition, um, it is the opportunity for students to be more creative and to think critically. For the sixth principle, we have here context of learning. So, learning does not happen in isolation. It is influenced by culture, environment, and instructional setting. So, it doesn't mean that a certain learning occurs because only of one factor that makes it possible. But one's experiences in the past, or one's innate or natural capacity of learning, how the teacher presents a lesson, or even the use of instructional material influence learning. So therefore, as teachers, we need to create learning experiences not to our students that are relevant. When I say relevant, it's meaningful to their lives. For example, in teaching Filipino subject, student can explore regional dialects and local literature, comparing them to formal Filipino texts. So, by analyzing Cebuano, for example, or Waray stories alongside national works, students see language as part of their identity and culture. So, this approach validates students' backgrounds, encourages them to take pride in their local heritage, and somehow show that learning is meaningful when it's being connected to their local communities. So it's very important now that we make our lessons relatable, and also we make sure that we're able to integrate local traditions into our classroom. The next we have the motivational and effective factors. So we have here the seventh principle of learning, motivational and emotional influences on learning. So motivation is deeply shaped by a learner's emotional state, no? Beliefs and interest, their innate, no? Natural state. So a supportive classroom, no, that acknowledges students' progress somehow emphasizes confidence and engagement. So in math, no, for example, teachers can celebrate small wins such as solving a challenging equation or improving a test score. So it does not mean as a teacher, no, especially for math majors here, it doesn't mean that we always have to wait for a student to attain a passing score for us to give our affirmation to them, especially to students who are struggling. So, for example, for the previous quiz, who won, for example, only got 5 out of 20. Then the next quiz, he got 7 out of 20. The next quiz, he got 10 out of 20. No? We do not wait for who want to reach 10 over 20 for us to give our affirmation. Even a simple progress of test scores, no, we give credit not to their effort of trying to learn. So we also do not sugarcoat when we give feedback, even if the test score is a failure, no score, because 7 out of 20 it's a failure score, but giving affirmation by trying to specify that students have improved even quite far from attaining a passing score, but mainly by the effort of improving themselves. So we will not say very good, John, you got 7 out of 20, you already passed the quiz. We will not say that. No, we do not sugarcoat just to give affirmation. Instead, we credit, no, their effort of learning. So, for example, John, the last quiz that we had, you only got 5 out of 20, but this time you got 7 out of 20. It's good that you are improving. No, I appreciate and I know that you are studying because a two point score has been increased from your previous quiz. So, hopefully, next time you're able to do more better and hopefully you'll be able to have that passing score. But for now, John, I appreciate of you trying, no, to somehow improve your test score. So John will have that sense of motivation that the teacher appreciate, no, even a simple um, step of progress. So it's very important, no, for us teachers as well to give positive reinforcement. When we say positive, it is something that we give. We can give verbal appreciation or you can give token, like for example, candies if you have the resources, or even point system. No, you can give certain colored paper in which it represents certain points. For example, you'll have this green paper, it represents 10 points. So those token um, economy as a positive reinforcement to students will help them feel that they are capable somehow, especially in dealing, no, difficult subjects that's most associated with anxiety. Difficult subjects are more likely linked, no, with science, math, and English. So it's a challenge for you, future educators, to make your subject, no, as something more challenging, but um, more challenging, but um, you're able to capacitate your learners, no, to um, feel that they are capable rather than they are being intimidated, no, by your subject. So in here, this principle, it reminds us teachers that when we create a safe space, no, in the classroom in which every effort is valued, learners are more willing to take risks, no, and persevere difficulties because they know that every single step of them trying, it's being valued by the teacher, because a feeling of being humiliated, being discredited or devalued, it's an important factor that students will not move forward. Okay, then we have the eighth Eighth principle, we have intrinsic motivation to learn. When we say intrinsic, it is something internal. When we say extrinsic, it is something external. So I think all of you here knows the difference. What do we mean by internal and external? Say intrinsic motivation, it is about finding joy, no, or curiosity in learning rather than relying on someone to give you rewards or reinforcement for you to do the things no that you are supposed to do. So when we say intrinsic motivation, the motivation comes from within yourself. It is not dependent with others. So even if your teacher, your parents, or your friends will not recognize your effort, but if you are intrinsically motivated, no, you find joy in doing things no, that you are supposed to do. So therefore, as teachers, no, as future educators, we need to spark curiosity. No, we need to design our lessons that encourage collaboration, encourage them to be creative. In science, for example, a teacher might bring no, a mystery object, like it's a sealed container with unknown materials, and you'll be able to ask students no, to hypothesize its contents no, based on sound, for example, or based on the weight or the smell. This playful challenge no, engages them to um, have that natural desire to investigate, no, making science lessons more exciting and memorable. So when students are motivated from within, learning becomes self-sustaining because intrinsic motivation is more sustainable because it's not dependent with others, no, on how to um, be able, no, to persist or to be consistent in doing one's task because you are driven by your inner, no, your um, inner state of curiosity and that desire not to learn. Then we have the ninth principle, effects of motivation and effort. So motivation here somehow is very important as it influences no, the amount of effort. Because when you are motivated, the more effort no, you will exert and the more willing you are to invest no, in mastering complex skills. So teachers should provide no, structured opportunities for practice and growth. So example, TLE. No? For example, in TLE, cooking skills cannot be developed in one setting. No? Or it's not an overnight skill. Therefore, as teachers, we need to provide opportunities for our students to have that hands-on learning experiences as it requires no repeated practice. So a teacher might schedule no weekly kitchen lab sessions where students refine knife skills or plating techniques and timing. So with each attempt, students gain confidence and precision. So by emphasizing that mastery comes from effort over time. When we say over time, no, there's a time element, consistency. Teachers instill no resilience and discipline in their students. So it's very important here. Take note on the word effort, the level of effort that we give in the things that we do. Motivation is an important factor because the less motivated you are, the lesser the effort you invest, and um, the more motivated you are, the more effort you will invest. So therefore, as teachers, it's very important to give um, emphasis, to always consider the sense of motivation in establishing learning opportunities in the classroom as we are able to facilitate different learning exercises for our students. Then we have um, The developmental and social factors. So the 11th principle is no, the 10th principle. I mean, developmental influence on learning. So, effective teaching aligns with students' developmental stages and cognitive readiness. That's why, as teachers, we need to make sure that our strategies in teaching is appropriate to their developmental stage. If you are teaching nursery students, it should be, the terms that we will be using, the games that we will be using, and the activities that we will give should be appropriate on their age. Same goes that you will be teaching junior high school, it should be appropriate and fitting to their developmental stage, because cognitive readiness is very important to consider, as it is, no, something that drives learning. Because if you are teaching grade 7, for example, but your learning was, instructional material is fitting for grade 12, learning is really possible, no, impossible to take place, because your instructional material is not fitting to the cognitive readiness of your learners. So in here, teachers must adjust content difficulty. No, the content difficulty should be fitting to their age. No, as to the presentation style, no, the way we present our lesson should be suiting to the age of our students and their level of experience. So, for example, um, critical thinking. No? We need to start first with the simple scenarios for younger learners to be able to build, no, and to transition to more complex issues for older students. So in science, for example, science, no? A teacher introducing chemical reactions to high school students might begin with colorful demonstrations like mixing vinegar and baking soda, no, before moving on to molecular equations. So this step-by-step approach, no, matches students' ability to understand abstract symbols, helping them transition from concrete, no, experiences to theoretical concepts more smoothly. Then we have the 11th principle, social influences on learning. So social interaction, no, it plays a key role in how students learn and internalize knowledge. Group activities and peer discussions, it allows students to exchange ideas and gain new perspectives. Supposing in an English class, now students can work in literature circles where each group member now takes a role. Like, for example, one will be assigned as a discussion leader, one as a summarizer, or a vocabulary finder. So together, they analyze a novel chapter, for example. So this does not only builds collaboration skills, but also encourages shy students to participate in meaningful dialogue. So this learning opportunity also establishes the teamwork, and thus teacher creates classroom where students learn and support, no, from one another. Then we have individual differences factors. For the 12th principle, we have individual differences in learning. So, from the word itself, individual differences. No two learners are alike. No, each brings unique strengths, unique challenges, and prior experiences. That's why teachers, we should be able to differentiate instruction. When we say differentiate instruction, we will not stick to one teaching strategy all throughout, no, the school year. That's why, as, no, a high school teacher, your activities now should from time to time be requiring students to work individually. It could be by pair or by three, in small groups or in larger groups. They can group themselves by preference, or it could, you have to be dynamics with your grouping, no? You will be grouping them alphabetically, if not by row, so that at the end of the school year, we are giving the opportunity for them to be working to everyone. They will not just be stuck, no, by working with classmates that they are comfortable working with. Differentiated instruction also, um, somehow, no, consider what type of intelligence the learners are. So we are giving opportunities for our learners to be exposed, no, to different types of intelligence. It could be this session, you are emphasizing interpersonal intelligence. The next session, you are advocating for bodily kinesthetic intelligence. For the next session, you will be giving emphasis on mathematical, no, reasoning, or logical reasoning, so that at the end of the school year, the whole academic year, they're able to be exposed with different learning opportunities and also covering the different multiple intelligences. So for individual differences, for example, in Filipino class, no? When teaching essay writing, a teacher might provide three different reading passages, no, of varying complexity. Students choose which one to analyze based on their comfort level. So, as a teacher, we do not prescribe a material for them to study, but they are to choose what material they feel comfortable working, because they are the one who can assess what's easy or difficult for them. So this approach maintains the same learning goal while respecting differences in terms of readiness, in terms of ability, ensuring that all students now feel capable and included in the learning process. So we have here the 13th principle, learning and diversity. So learner-centered classroom acknowledges and celebrates linguistics, no, and cultural diversity, making our education inclusive. So in math, for example, teachers can use local market data to create word problems. No? In your mathematical word problems, you will not make use of dollars or any currency if you are teaching, especially no students whose backgrounds no do not have that experience of traveling abroad. They cannot really relate dealing with dollars, but they have personal experiences dealing with our peso currency. So we make sure that our word problems that we use is utilizing, no, what's in the local communities, no, as they have experience. So you can make use of local market data. For example, if you are using word problems, the prices that you will be using for a certain commodity should correspond to what their real experiences are. So this ties no mathematical concepts to students' daily experiences, while also we show their cultural environment. So this somehow allows students to see themselves, no, and be familiarized with context and reflected in curriculum, somehow um, deepen their understanding, because we are able to bridge gap between no theories and reality or applications. And then we have here the 14th principle, standards and assessment. High expectations combined with fair and transparent assessments, no, drives student growth. Take note of the word fair, no biases, no, and transparency is very important. Therefore, as teachers, we need to clearly communicate our goals, no, when we have subjective assessments like essay, um, oral recitation, no, authentic assessments, no, meaning authentic performances. I mean, we should have a rubric to be able to be objective when we give our rating. And when we give feedback, it should be something constructive. When I say constructive, we start first with the areas of um, strength, meaning the positive side of the presentation. Then after, we will cite areas to improve, no? So the students um, will feel that their effort of presenting or their effort of delivering, no, the task is being acknowledged. Then areas for improvement will be, of course, constructively given. So it's very important, no, as teachers, to be mindful in giving our feedback, as um, it can make or break our students. In TLE class, for example, no, a practical cooking exam might include a rubric, no, assessing the taste, the safety, or presentation and teamwork. No, we will not just um, rate the performance of the students, no, ato lang um, ihangad, no? Hangad-hangad lang ta without objective criteria. Students, no, receive feedback and a chance to revise their work, somehow um, making the assessments, no, more progressive on their part, no, as they're able to take ownership, no, as to what the things that they still need to improve and the things that they will have to sustain for the areas now that they are good at. So these are the 14, no, principles that remind us, no, that teaching is more than just delivering a lesson. It is about shaping environments, no, where every student, no, feel capable, no matter how um, good, excellent, or maybe struggling they are, no, academically. It's, no, they should be challenged, and as well they should feel being valued. So whether you are teaching, no, literature, whether you are teaching English, for example, TLE, math, science, or Filipino, no, our job, no, your job as a future educator, no, is to design learning experiences, no, that somehow inspire students to grow. Okay, so this is the first module that you're going to study, the learner-centered psychological principles. Thank you.